while everyone else comes in, if anyone else is coming in. Did anyone stay up for the football? I did see somebody ask that question. Yeah, I did. I can't nap. Probably dreadfully regret that now. I'm so fucking tired. And we had that cheerleading competition, which was a 6 hour round drive, because whenever we have to go anywhere, we have to get the like Thomas's parents to dog sit. So it's always like an hour and a half in the wrong direction. Um, and then obviously the football, and then yesterday we surprised Thomas with a like a family barbecue, which we hosted here. The cleaner who was meant to start on Thursday, she basically decided not to turn up, which was wonderful. So I ended up having to do all of that yesterday. I was like, oh God, why can't people just do what they say they're gonna do? And she was like, I promise I'll be there Monday. Cool. And then she messaged to say, no, I'm actually not gonna do it. I've decided I'm not gonna start. Okay. Right, so you've just wasted 2 weeks of our time then. Amazing, love it. Which I realise is a very first world problem, but I'm tired. I don't want to clean. And by the way, anyone that I did a video checking for, and so that's a new filled laundry basket. I just want to make that clear because I feel like I kept pointing it out in check-ins, like that laundry basket on Friday, and you're probably thinking, "Fucking hell, she's still there." No, no, that's fresh. Right, let's have a look at what we're talking about tonight. I don't even think I've told you all. So we're going to talk about like, well, we'll cover a few topics. I'll share my slides and we'll get into it. My brain is tired. How do I do that again? Right, here we go. Right, so I do want to talk about smartwatches. I feel like it kind of came up the other day when one of the Vickies was asking about running and zonals and all of that side of things. So kind of want to touch on bits and pieces with that. But as we know, before we do, some really good wins this week. Oh, I don't like the fact that that right one's out of line. They're on like a step. Don't know how I did that, but there you go. So Vicky and Cassie. So this is Vicky Davies and Cassie kind of in that, when you get in the mindset of going, oh, fuck it, I'll just write off the whole of the week. This is where the midweek check-ins, for those of you that need them, not everybody needs them. Some of you need them some of the time and not all of the time, and this, that, and but this is where we can sometimes catch you in the moment and we can go, no, 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 we don't need to write the whole of the week off just because we might have plans or something coming up, or a bit like my weekend was chaotic. But there are 7 days in a week, right? We still want to be able to kind of navigate that and not just write things off and get into that Monday morning attitude. I realize, especially for corporate women, we are kind of in that Monday through Friday kind of mindset, but we want to try and work through that as best as we can. Then we've got Natalie. I've loved seeing these this year, actually. I don't remember ever seeing them last year. I don't know why. They probably did exist, but this year, all of the like parent races at Child Sports Day, I just think are brilliant to see what you guys are capable of, and loads of you guys are winning them. But Natalie, she basically made a point that she came last year. Didn't feel confident, didn't feel good about it. It was just another kick in the teeth where you just think, God, fuck, this is not where I want to be with my fitness. And now she ran the whole race with confidence. She kept up with her friend, who I'm pretty sure won it last year. Massive turnaround. Do you know what I mean? Even not to win, but just to thrive in that moment and know that you don't feel like you're letting your child down is a massive, massive achievement. I fear anyone that I do this race against, by the way. When this child comes of age, I said to Natalie, I'm like, I'll be fucking elbowing people out of the way, throwing things in there. Like, I will not stop. And I don't run. I am not a sprinter. Long distance was my like school choice when you had to do like sports day. I was like 1500 meters and could do really well at that, but not short distance. So we'll see. Undies, love it. 100 kilo hip thrust. That's a lovely kind of strength-based win, which we obviously are here for. And then Anna and Undies smashing out a half marathon, so big race for them. And Anna in particular, like, well, Undies, I think, sure she's on like race 5 now. I swear to God of this year. But like Anna was a bit like, oh, this is not my thing, but did it anyway. Absolutely crushed it. So well done, ladies. Right, so there is an England game on Wednesday. Slightly more sociable hours, but again, I still feel like it's Wednesday at 8 o'clock. I know we said this for, I think, the one before the last one. At least this one's not going to impact sleep. That's a positive. Do you know what I mean? So that's something that we're not going to have to worry about on this one. But yeah, just be mindful of the choices that you make, whether you're going to the pub, whether you're drinking, and just that reminder that alcohol is going to slow down fat loss. It's fine if that's your choice to do it. Just be aware of where you sit. So, pardon me, at least you're making the decision consciously, and then just enjoy it whichever way. Not starting again on Monday, so I kind of touched on that, but again, there are 7 days in a week. We don't just want to write things off just because we feel like, oh, okay, I've got this on, I've got that on. That could be the difference between even pushing you into a surplus or actually staying at maintenance because you might be in a deficit for part of the week. You might be in a slight surplus for part of the week and it might balance out. And then that's just a break even week. So at least it stops it being a gain potentially. Running for fat loss. Now, again, this is kind of what like Vicky was asking the other day about like zone two running. Now, my view on running is if you genuinely love it and it is something that so I coach quite a lot of women actually, interestingly, because I'm not a runner at all. You'd be hard pushed to find me running anytime soon. Currently I don't think I could. I don't think I could actually get beyond this very slow walk at the minute. But I coach a lot of women who do love running, who absolutely, it is as much a part of their personality. And what they've had to do is go, the running's not serving me. It's not doing anything for my body or like my fat loss or this, that, and the other, but I enjoy it. So it's here for my mental health. Amazing. But what they've done is go, I acknowledge I need to strength train. So I need to shift up my strategy a little bit in order to get to where I want to get to. Or the other way that I think works really nicely is if you have achieved kind of the fat loss side of things, or you're noticing a difference, and then you want to take up running, amazing. It's not advised that you really do any more than three strength training sessions a week, depending on how much running you're doing. But that's kind of where, if you were trying to do 4 or 5, would start to think about dropping that back a little bit, depending on who you are. But it's not the best for fat loss. So if you are still very much your primary goal is fat loss, I personally would not recommend running to you. Now, the reason for that, and again, it's got nothing to do with bias in how I coach or this, that, and the other. It is scientifically proven. When you run, you are going to feel very hungry when you get back, okay? So then your chances of staying in a calorie deficit through the nutrition piece, it drops. It becomes a little bit harder purely because you've spiked your hunger dramatically, but you're not necessarily burning the level of calories on that run that you feel the need to try and replenish them with. So I can categorically hand on my heart say anyone that I have coached that wants to drop body fat and still carries on the same level of running that they always have, it will take them longer. And that is just, that's my anecdotal side of what I can see as a fitness coach. Whereas if somebody actually goes, you know what, the fat loss is more important. I'm just going to park the running for a little bit, or I'm just going to rein it back in a little bit, focus on that, achieve that, then I'll bring the running back in. Amazing. So you've just got to think as a personal, but again, some of you guys might do it for mental health. Great. We're never going to turn around and go, well, that's unimportant. Don't do that. So it's kind of horses for courses with what's actually going to work for you guys. What I'm going to talk about, I think next week, well, I think basically children are about to break up from school, routines are about to change with the summer. We've obviously had a lot of heat anyway, so I feel like we're probably quite into the swing of that, at least in like parts of England. I know the higher north you go or certain parts of the west, maybe not had it quite so much. But I do want to do a bit of a routine change for summer kind of presentation, do that. It might be pre-recorded. Obviously, don't really know what's going to happen at this point. So I might pre-record it, have that as an option, but I might actually deliver it live. it's hard in this point in time to go, well, I don't really know where we're going to go with this. And then one that I definitely will be pre-recording is the bulk and cut cycles. There's quite a lot of you that are kind of in that world now going, ooh, I'm intrigued what that might look like if I decide to go that far into it, basically. And again, that's how unpregnant, how I would live my life. But we're here to talk about wearable technology. So, a Stanford study found that while fitness trackers are good at measuring heart rate, they are poor at accurately tracking calories burned, with some devices being as off by as much as 93%. So, imagine if you're looking at all of the data on your smartwatches and it is 93% inaccurate. Pretty fucking irritating, right? So, an evaluation of 7 devices, with basically 60 different volunteers, showed that 6 of the devices measured the heart rate with an error rate of less than 5%. So, in terms of parts of it, pretty good. Other parts of it, pretty shit. So the study focus, it was basically published like in the personalized medicine. So 7 popular fitness trackers. So they took the most common ones really. So Apple Watch, I've never heard of a Basis Peak. Fitbit Surge, so that will have been a Fitbit at the time. Microsoft Band, Alpha 2, Pulson, and Samsung Gear S2. I think the only one I would probably say that should be in there really is a Garmin. That's the only other one that's probably quite a popular one. So the heart rate accuracy. So the study found that 6 out of the 7 devices were good at estimating heart rate with error rates of under 5%. So that is really accurate. Do you know what I mean? So in terms of using it for your heart rate, so when Vicky asked this question about zonal and it's based on your heart rate and where you can keep it, if you were using your fitness device to go, right, I want to stay inside a certain aerobic or anaerobic state as a runner, as a great example, really accurate. Or if you even just want to be curious to go, right, what does my heart rate get up to when I strength train or whatever it might be? Again, that's not a bad use of doing it. But the calorie burn inaccuracy, none of the devices accurately measured energy expenditure, with even the most accurate device being off by an average of 27% and the least accurate by 93%. That's not great. Fuck me, hang on, I can't breathe. I've reached that point in pregnancy where I'm like, I throw my voice to try and make sure that these recordings are really clear, and I'm like, I've got nothing to give. Try and get some air in. Oh, can't breathe. Right, so they're not good, basically. And this is a massive, massive issue. And you know what? I used to love wearing my fitness watches. The only reason I took it off is because I kept getting rashes, and every single watch strap that I tried would like basically rash up my wrist. And I just had to keep removing them. And I was like, this is getting beyond a joke. And then I thought, you know what? I've worn them for years. I know the data. So I used to wear a Whoop and an Apple Watch, so one like a double watch wanker. But I used to quite like them, do you know what I mean? And I genuinely enjoy the data over drama. Like we're just tracking like trends and we're tracking progress and different things. But this is one of the issues with it when people say, well, I am in an energy deficit, but my weight is not moving and my body fat percentage, nothing's changing. You're not in an energy deficit. You're looking at the data inaccurately. You're probably relying on calories burned, thinking, ooh, ooh, I've just earned myself 500 calories. You haven't. It will be significantly lower. And this is one of and this is a great thing about strength training that nobody really ever measures it in terms of calories burned. That's not it's never really been correlated as two things that go hand in hand. Whereas a lot of women that do fitness classes in the gym, they probably do look at their watch and go, oh my God, I've burned this many calories. I've just earned myself a takeaway. You have not. Do you know what I mean? You genuinely haven't. Or like your Slimming World, all of those kind of groups, again, they're probably going to be teaching this sort of thing, and runners as well. So there's like categories of people who are likely to fall into this camp, and it just does not work. So also found factors such as skin color and body mass also, so your body mass index affecting the measurements as well. So again, like they're almost racist. It's like for fuck's sake, like even they're not able to be as accurate as we want them to be. And so it's very hard to train an algorithm that would be accurate across a variety of people with energy expenditure. It's variable based on someone's fitness level, their height, their weight. So it's just too inaccurate. And I find this really interesting. It's the same with pregnancy. They are using your bump measurements against your BMI. And your BMI as those two things are kind of like, well, do you know what I mean? Like my bump is, I mean, it's big, it is big, but then they're presuming the baby is enormous and it's not necessarily taking into account the level of food that I need to sustain my body with just because I have a higher proportion of muscle on my physique. I'm clearly not overweight. I'm clearly not, even though I've put on, I think it's something like it's over 22 kilos now in this pregnancy, which is way over and above the recommended, like nearly double. But you don't look at me and go, whoa. Do you know what I mean? So it's that consideration of going, it's not always the best metric to be trying to use a BMI in this kind of technology. By and large, I do think BMI does still have a place. I think it is still an important guideline. And is this accurate for me? Yes or no? Am I overweight? Am I in this position? Yes or no? And you can kind of make that decision for yourself. But heart rate, she said, is measured directly, whereas energy expenditure must be measured indirectly through proxy calculation. So again, you know the pulse, like it can track that like tapping, that sensation of a pulse, where it's really hard to do any of the other mathematics. So that's why we have to take it with a pinch of salt. So, what should we actually wear smartwatches for? Now, again, heart rate data, absolutely fine. Tracking steps, also pretty good. There are scenarios where it's not going to catch them all. Push in a pushchair, not going to catch them because your wrist is likely to be upright. There are always going to be, or push in a wheelchair, or those kind of scenarios where it just might not actually track it. But again, it will give you a pretty bloody good idea if you're wearing it correctly and you know this. This is why we don't love the like phones. I know not everybody wants to wear a fitness watch, or not everybody can as well because of certain jobs. We might need pedometers, we might need to do things slightly differently. But I don't love the phone tracking because you're never going to have your phone on you 100% of the time. I also don't advocate for having your phone on you 100% of the time because I think we spend far too long around mobile phones these days, far too long around that kind of thing. So, again, just being mindful of that. But we don't use it for tracking calories burned. It is the worst way that you can make sure you are. Technically, it is an energy deficit. If your expenditure is higher than your input, your energy in, you should be in a deficit of an energy deficit, which means you're going to lose weight, or vice versa if you're putting it on. That's what we know. But it's a lot easier to manage through other means, basically. So the masses, this is what we're used to hearing, and it's completely inaccurate. But they're using exercise as a tool to earn their food. And I would say the majority of you guys, and including me, we've all been there. We have all been there. I can't eat this until I've burned at least 500 calories off. And one of you guys actually said in your check-in, think it was last week, that you could feel that coming back in, that vicious like devil on the shoulder voice was kind of creeping back in saying, unless you go for this run, you can't have this food. And it's like it has to, like, you've got to literally understand that that is misinformation. It is entirely inaccurate, and you have to walk away from that belief because otherwise you will never get to your goal. And it is a dangerous mindset. We never want to think about earning the right to eat. Food is what sustains us as human beings. We need to eat food. Yes, there are different nutritional values to different foods. Yes, we want to be in a caloric deficit if the aim is to drop body fat. Yes, there are all of these different things, but the moment we are believing we can't eat something until we've earned it, we're in a slightly dangerous position when it comes to the nutrition piece at that point. And then we've got to start looking into things like your eating mindset around that, because again, we're just pushing ourselves into a slight dangerous territory. But your BMI is BMR, sorry, is burning the highest number of calories. So this is your base metabolic rate. This is you just existing, essentially. That is burning the highest proportion of calories. So this is why you sleep. You're going to burn more calories than you will do in any other thing because you sleep for the longest period of anything that you're likely to do across the day. NEAT is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So, like my laundry's hanging out, for instance, I've already put a basket in. I'm burning energy, but I'm not exercising, but I am moving. I am moving my butt. Like right now, I'm moving because God forbid I just ever sit still. It's just not inherently in my nature. So I use my hands, I'm blinking, and all of these different things. So that is burning energy just to survive. TEF, so the thermogenic effects of feeding. We have a digestion system, gang. It has to work. It has to operate. It needs to function. That is also going to be burning energy. So, when you hear certain foods are like a negative, as in, I'm pretty sure they say celery's one, certain food types where it actually, to consume it, is actually going to burn more energy than the calories included in that food itself because it is just the way that that food is. So it's so low that this side of it, you're going to burn more calories just by digesting. Eat, so your exercise activity thermogenesis, it is the smallest proportion. It's around 5%. So anyone that is trying to earn their food, you're looking at about 5%. So when you look at let's take 2000 as the average UK woman's average calories, and that's just the data. It's not accurate at all, but that is just the number that they say for average maintenance. If you're trying to think 5%, do you know what I mean? But actually, your fitness watch is saying you've just burned 500 calories. It's not 25%. Do you know what I mean? That we're really, really far off at that point. So you're using data to try and drive decisions, and it's not going to help you out in any way, shape, or form. So this is why your steps, they're the piece of the puzzle that is going to burn around 25%. And this sits within the NEAT piece. So this is where just getting more movement in organically without thinking, right, okay, I've got to go do an exercise class or something like that. That's why we try and say 10,000 steps is a decent number to be aiming for. This is also why you'll hear us say sometimes someone will get an injury or they'll get really sick or like whatever might happen and they're like, oh my God, that's it, that's my journey over. I'm like, well, your main goal is to drop body fat. Why is your journey over? Because it's got nothing to do with that piece anyway. So why don't we just focus on the thing that we should be doing anyway? Do you know what I mean? And then we're going to challenge you on that. But a calorie deficit is for fat loss. Now, you guys know this because you're fucking legends. But a lot of people don't know this, and a lot of people still get it wrong. And it's one of the most common things I would discuss in my DMs where people feel like they're doing all the right things and nothing's working. I can probably count on, well, I'd need more hands, more fingers to be able to count how many of you guys had the conversation with me saying, I've been doing this for years. Why is your coaching program going to teach me any different? I like all of this. So how much weight have you lost? Oh, not really anything. So you're not doing it. You're fucking it up somewhere, and it's my job to come in and teach you where and how and why. And this is also why we absolutely advocate for tracking your nutrition across the board. And even I love those of you that genuinely try and do it, even when it's not going to be accurate, even when now we don't always need to. There are times when I would say that's more effort than it's worth. Don't bother, just go and have a nice time. Do you know what I mean? That's not going to be worth it. But some of you guys will be like, no, I'm going out for dinner. And I do want to try and track to some capacity. But the challenge with that is when we don't know, nine times out of 10, a lot of people outside of Strong Her would track the lowest. So if they're going for a chippy T, they'll track the lowest and they'll go, yeah, I've smashed it. Then the weighing scales go up and they go, oh God. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably because you put the lowest in, not the one that actually might be more accurate. You've just gone for the lowest. Whereas you guys are actually really good, nine times out of 10 at going, I'm just going to guesstimate slightly more, and then I'm probably going to be in a better position. But 1% of body fat gained or lost, goes both ways, is roughly equal to around 3,500 calories. That's kind of the metrics that we're working to. Now, that would be if you did change nothing else, if you did literally nothing else at all. You didn't increase steps, you didn't do anything else, but a pound of fat gained or lost, so you can be in a surplus or you can be in a deficit. Do you know what I mean? That goes both ways. And if you're not losing, you kind of stood still. It is a little bit harder the leaner we get. This is why then body recomposition starts to take its place at a certain point, and then we start to focus less on what the weigh and scale readings are saying and a little bit more on how do you visibly look. Are you happy? Are there still parts of your body that you would like to see more defined or a little bit leaner? Or there'll be a point where we start to have that conversation with you, and it's a bit less about what you weigh and a bit more about how you perceive the body that you've created. But that is roughly it. Most of you guys will be in a deficit of around 500 calories a day. So I will push it to about the extreme level, but that's as far as I will go. I am not comfortable putting anybody into more than that. Now, you might still lose more than that because, again, you might be somebody that walks like 14,000 steps a day. So, again, we're pushing the needle both ways. And if we can't pull it down anymore with food, we have to pull it up with the output. We've got to increase it somewhere. But they're the only pulls that we have as coaches. We use the exercise piece for retaining the muscle in a deficit and also growing it as well. So you've got the newbie gains if you are new, but we obviously, that's going to run out and expire at some point, depending on your start point. So this is where we don't want to stay in an energy deficit for the rest of our lives. We teach heavily the reverse diet inside of this program. And then also, a lot of you guys have entered into the bulk and cut for the first time this year as well, which is incredible to see. The point where you care less about what the weighing scales say and more about how you can grow and define and all of these things, amazing. And again, as a reminder, steps burn more calories day to day than exercise ever will. So we're always going to try and help you move that needle. So track your steps, but ditch the watches for your calories burned. Right. Let me stop that. I know we've got some pardon me, Q&A bits. I hate running, but I always try and get a couple of Zumba sessions in per week. 3 strength sessions. My resistance in Zumba is amazing. And this is it. Like running is great for cardiovascular fitness. Steps also fantastic for cardiovascular fitness. This is your heart health we're talking about. I get an enormous amount of steps in, even whilst heavily pregnant. I am still able to get a decent chunk of my steps in. I'm slow. I've noticed I've got to allow twice as much time to pretty much do the same level of walking, but it's important to me to get my steps in. And also, it's my mental health piece. I love being outside. And again, Vicky, you love doing Zumba. Why would you stop doing something that you absolutely love doing, whether it's a social thing? And this goes for workout classes as well. We just have to acknowledge that they're not going to change your body recomposition. They're not going to build muscle on your physique. They're not going to get you that toned look, but you might fucking enjoy them. You might just want to participate in them. And that's great. That's what we want. Like exercise is still really fundamental. I agree with you on the running. Do it because I love it. When I was running marathons, I struggled to lose as much. The biggest thing I learned was it's a good way to get my steps in quicker. Does make me more hungry, but now I do have more control and just stick to my normal calories. Now I'm used to it. I don't have too many issues with the hunger, and I've lost what we've been aiming to achieve quicker. I do it now for a bit of structure and for my mental health and for specific fitness benefits. I would say across the board, that's exactly where you would want to be. If you genuinely love running and you genuinely find it's offering you something in your life, that's the point where you go, yeah, that's great. But we do see it with the marathon runners where I'm a bit like, you're kind of trying to target too many goals at the same time. We've got to park one, push on the other, and then we can park one and push on the other. But it's going to be exceptionally difficult to do both of those things, mostly because of the inflammation as well. You will see a spike in the weighing scales. If you go out and run like 20 miles, you are going to see an inflammation change. The weighing scales are going to creep up. Now, it's not body fat, but it is going to knock your confidence in terms of going, oh my God, the scales are going up. Yeah, it's a bit like the heat. Seeing the reaction to your body when the temperature comes up, it's a similar kind of thing. We just have to understand. But again, it is a little bit trickier to stay within your calories. It means you have to be so fucking on it to make that work. Doesn't track steps when pushing a trolley. Yeah, so there's another example. Anything like that, we're gonna lose. I hadn't even thought about that one. That's absolutely hilarious. That's why I make my husband push the trolley, or I do it with one hand. That's it's Adina's steps are off the fucking chart every single week. Like, you definitely don't need to worry about losing like a handful of steps in the supermarket. But this is where realistically, you kind of have to go, yeah, sometimes it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? As long as you know you are doing the steps, we're doing the steps, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? So that's fine. If it's more when you know you're highly sedentary and you're sat down and you're not moving, you're not getting away from a computer or a laptop or and then it like that's impacting so many different things. But it's data. That's what we're tracking. That's what we're measuring. And we're measuring it off each of your weeks to make sure, right, okay, are we having really high weeks, low weeks? Are we progressing? Are the steps moving? Again, do we need to push them up a little bit more because we can't pull the calories down anymore? Like what is it we're looking at? So they're the kind of things that we're looking at. Yeah. Congratulations to Gemma as well. I'm pretty sure that's you. Congratulations on your engagement again. Amazing news. And I'm glad, I was so happy for you because I know you've mentioned that quite a while. And I'm like, oh, it's got to come. It's got to come. And that was the same as like with Thomas. We just said, was it last year? God, no, I think it was 3 years ago. No, it's not that long. I'm sure it wasn't. But it was like, right, we're going to do it in whatever year it was. Apparently, we've both forgotten. But whatever year it was, they're like, right, we're going to get engaged. And it was like December. And I was like, well, this is obviously going to happen in Dubai, isn't it? Because we've only got like 2 more weeks of the damn year. And he's going to do it in Dubai. But no, I love that. I know that you've, like I say, been expecting it, but brilliant news. Brilliant news. Right. Any more? Any questions? Any form checks? Anything at all that anybody wants to go through while you have me? Dumbbell hammer curl. My elbow keeps clicking. So, some women do have like clicky parts of your body. My advice with this one, Michelle, is if it's not hurting, you're okay. If it starts to feel really uncomfortable, then maybe change it. Now, one thing you can do, and it seems ridiculous, I know it seems ridiculous to do a form check just on a hammer curl, but why not? Do you know what I mean? Why not? Because one thing you might be doing is possibly like what you might want to think about is how low are you going? Like, can you stop a little bit earlier and actually not get there? Because it's working when we're kind of getting to this point. And if you're coming down, see my elbow just cracked then. If you're coming down lower than you need to, or you kind of almost like putting too much strain, as in you're really forcing that like straightness there. Just keep a little bit of flex in and then do your hammer curl. Do you know what I mean? So you're trying to keep a slight supple elbow rather than straightening it too much. But if you want to do a video, like I said, that's quite an easy one to even if you just do it in a bathroom, do you know what I mean? Something, put your phone on. Do you know what I mean? Just show us the motion. That's a really easy one for us to just have a look at. But it just might be too much tension in the elbow or maybe going slightly too far. But I wouldn't be too concerned. Like mine just did it then. I would have been able to carry on training through that. You might have a little bit of hypertension, which I do. I have to try and make sure that everything, I keep a slight bend in, no matter what the exercise is. Otherwise, it will start to hurt. But mine will just lock out, and then I'm like, ugh, ugh. Whereas a bit of clicking, not the end of the world, I would argue. Right, anymore. And it doesn't have to be relevant to Zoom, by the way. Like, this is your opportunity to ask anything that you wish. Sometimes I like to make sure I'm not switching off too soon and someone's furiously typing away. Um, we may be able to create a rule like put a one in or something if you are writing a question or something, because then it's like, okay, I'll wait. No, I'm assuming we're all good. Obviously, again, you've got the community channel. Just ask away and just tag us. Do you know what I mean? Like any time that you want to ask a question, just literally tag Coach Cat and I, and then we can see it immediately, and we'll be able to get back to you really, really quickly. Right, we're still here. This baby is still cooking. We are going to be 39 weeks on Wednesday. So we'll officially from Wednesday be moving into week 40. So we're still here, we're still going strong, gang. So everything is just business as usual until it isn't. But no, let's crush it. Let's have a really good week. Hopefully for a lot of you it's a little bit cooler for at least a few days. You get a bit of respite, but I really want to be absolutely smashing it out of the park. Unless there's any reason not to. I want you guys to be like throwing the kitchen sink at this week. So let's have a fucking good week, some bloody good check-ins, and we are here. Anytime you need us, just drop us a message. Have a lovely, lovely week, guys. Mwah. Bye.